I unlocked my apartment door after a 16-hour flight from Paris, suitcase dragging behind me, eyelids heavier than bricks. I just wanted a shower, maybe ramen, and sleep for a week. Instead, I walked into chaos. Balloons, streamers, a banner that said, "Welcome, Little Prince," in glittery blue cursive. There were at least 30 people packed into my 2-bedroom apartment, people I had never seen in my life. Some woman I didn't recognize handed me a cupcake. Someone else's child ran into my leg. Sticky hands grabbing my jeans. My sofa, my gray suede sofa, was covered in baby gifts. My record player was playing lullabies. And then I saw her. My cousin, Madison, 7 months pregnant, sitting on the arm of my armchair like it belonged to her. She was laughing, beaming, holding up a onesie, the red Andy's favorite. She looked up at me and blinked. "Oh," she said casually, like I was just early to a party I forgot I RSVP'd to. "Didn't Mom tell you we were using your place for the shower?" No, Mom hadn't told me. Not a word, not an email, not a message, not a whisper. I stood there, trying to process what I was seeing. The books I'd stacked by theme, gone. My art supplies gone. My cat's water bowl pushed into a corner under a gift table. My framed Paris photo, the one I'd taken from the Eiffel Tower at sunrise, had been replaced by a baby ultrasound on the wall. I didn't say a word. I turned, walked into the hallway, and saw something that made my stomach twist. The door to my bedroom was ajar. I stepped inside. Every inch of it gone. The bed stripped, my shelves cleared, and in its place, a pile of unopened baby gifts, diaper bags, a changing table I didn't own. My dresser drawers had labels, onesies, blankets, webs. My laptop was missing. My closet was empty. And then I saw the trash bag sitting just inside the door. My sketchbooks, ripped, my vision board, crumpled, my copy of the bell jar, stained with something sticky and pink. And on top, a posted, "Sorry, needed space." Mads. I sat on the floor, cold, quiet. It wasn't grief yet. It was something slower, sharper, like knowing someone has just pulled the rug from under you, but watching it fall in slow motion. They didn't even ask. They didn't even think they needed to. Because in their minds, my life was optional, flexible, disposable. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Just be cool, Aver. Don't ruin the day. You know how hard pregnancy is." I stared at it for a long time, and then I turned off my phone. When I came out, Madison was unwrapping a gift and giggling. "Ava's old bedroom is perfect for the nursery, right, Mom?" My mother didn't even look at me. She was too busy laughing with someone I vaguely recognized from a Christmas party 2 years ago. That night, after everyone left, I didn't cry. I changed the locks. The next morning, the apartment smelled like frosting and baby lotion and betrayal. I sat at my kitchen counter, the one that still had cupcake crumbs on it, and tried to breathe. The air felt heavy, like I'd walked into someone else's home and wasn't welcome to stay. My email pinged. It was a calendar invite from Madison. Weekly baby prep meeting at Ava's place. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., I stared at it. Accepted. By Mom, Aunt Clara, Madison, and to people I didn't even know. Declined. No one. They had made plans, long-term plans, for my home, like I was a ghost haunting the property. I closed the invite. Then I stood up and did what I should have done years ago. First, I walked through every room and made a list. What was missing? What had been moved? What had been stolen? My vintage vinyls, gone. The French ceramic plates I hand-carried back from Marseille, packed in a box labeled fragile. Madison's baby shower. Even my cat's bed was missing. My cat. Oh my God, where was Luna? Panic gripped me until I found her, hiding behind the washing machine. Wide-eyed and trembling, I scooped her up, cradled her, whispered apologies into her fur. She meowed like she'd been holding it in for days. Second, I called my landlord. "Hey, James, quick question. Has anyone submitted any tenant changes for my unit while I've been out?" A pause, typing. Double quotes. "Nope. Still got you as the sole leaseholder." Perfect. One more thing, do I have the right to change the locks if I'm the only name on the lease? Absolutely. And frankly, he added, you should have done it a long time ago. That night, I bought new locks and installed them myself. It was therapeutic unscrewing the old ones, replacing them with something shinier, stronger. Every click of metal into metal felt like reclaiming oxygen, felt like pulling my name out from the trash bag they'd thrown it into. Then I drafted a text, simple, unemotional, clear. The apartment is no longer available for use. Please collect your belongings from the hallway. Do not re-enter. I am serious. I hit send to the family group chat and left my phone face down. 20 minutes later, ding. Then another, and another. By midnight, 42 messages. Eva, what the hell? Where is the bus in it? You changed the locks. Your cousin is pregnant. Have some compassion. You're being cruel. Disgusting behavior. Ungrateful. And then, the one that made me laugh out loud. I raised you better than this. From Mom. Of course, I didn't reply. Instead, I opened every drawer, every cabinet, everything that wasn't mine. I boxed it up, neatly, carefully, labeled and stacked in the hallway. Then I sat on the edge of my now empty bed and stared at the apartment that used to feel like mine. It didn't yet, not fully, but it would. They'd taken over everything, space, air, even my narrative. But now I had the pen, and I was rewriting the ending. The next morning, they came back. I heard them before I saw them, voices in the hallway, footsteps, and knock, then pounding, then sobbing. I didn't open the door. I didn't move. Madison's voice filtered through the hallway, sharp and sweet and manipulative in the way only my family knew how to do. Aver, come on, don't do this. We just need a few things. We'll be out of your hair soon, I promise. Then Mom, open the door. Let's talk. Don't make a scene. But it was they who made the scene. They sat outside the door for hours, crying, pleading. At one point, I heard my uncle, who lived 2 towns away. You're being dramatic, he called through the door. This isn't how family handles things, right? Because this is how family handles things, stealing your space and calling it love. I didn't reply. I brewed tea, the one mug I still had, jasmine green. I played jazz, low, soft. Eventually, I heard them leave. That night, Rachel texted me. My cousin, the only one in the family who had ever treated me like a whole person. You okay? They're telling everyone. You snapped. That Paris changed you. I almost dropped my phone. Now I'm the unstable one. That's what they're saying. That you're bitter. That you need help. I stared at the ceiling. Familiar rage burned in my ribs, not just because of what they were saying, but because it was so predictable. They always do this. When you stop playing your role, the helper, the fixer, the one who sacrifices, they rewrite your story into a villain's. But I was done playing their version of me. I was rewriting their whole damn book. 2 days later, I woke up to banging on the door again. It was 8:17 a.m. on a Sunday. I already knew who it was. I didn't need to check the people, but I did anyway. And there they were, Madison, my mom, and someone I didn't recognize, maybe her fiance. He was holding a pink tote bag like it was a peace offering. My mother, perfectly dressed in her pearls and pressed pants, had her arms folded and that familiar tight-lipped smile that never reached her eyes. I watched, unseen, as Madison leaned against the wall like she was about to faint. She whined loudly. Need 5 minutes. Aver, just 5, please. 5 minutes. 5 minutes to reclaim what she never asked for in the first place. 5 minutes to cross the boundary I had every right to draw. No, not this time. I slipped in my AirPods, turned up some Ella Fitzgerald, and poured another cup of jasmine tea. Luna curled against my legs, warm and still. I didn't move. I didn't answer. I didn't flinch. Eventually, they stopped knocking, but my phone didn't stop vibrating. First, Madison. This is so childish. Aver, you're hurting Mom. Then Mom, we sacrificed so much for you, and this is how you repay us. And finally, my uncle. Uncle Paul, the reasonable one. Your mother is heartbroken. Could you please be the bigger person? I laughed out loud. I had been the bigger person since I was 10 years old when Madison broke my birthday present and cried so hard I got sick. All did for making her feel bad. Since age 12, when Mom skipped my choir recital because Madison had a hard week, I called Uncle Paul back. Did Mom tell you, I asked calmly, that while I was abroad for work, she threw a party for 40 people in my apartment without asking, that they tossed my journals in the trash and turned my bedroom into a baby storage closet? Silence. Well, he finally said, family makes mistakes. You have to forgive. There it was. The family motto, the poison in a pretty bottle. Family makes mistakes. No accountability. No ownership. Just a demand to erase your pain for their comfort. I hung up without another word. That afternoon, I went into full motion. I hired a cleaning crew. Top tier, high-end, discreet. They arrived at 6 o'clock the next morning, and by 9:30, every last trace of that baby shower was gone. Confetti in the vents, stains on the rug, glitter on the fridge handle. Gone. I replaced the couch, the art, the dishes, and then I opened the envelope. The envelope I had kept in a fireproof box for years. A cashier's check. $52,000. My inheritance. The one Dad left me, the only thing that had ever been mine without strings, when he died. Mom told me, put that away. Don't waste it on some silly apartment. So I hadn't. Not then, but now I knew what to do. I called a realtor. I didn't want to move. Not really. But I needed an option. A clean start. Maybe even a power play. Turns out the entire unit below mine had just gone up for sale. New floors, 3 bedrooms, and it had 2 entrances. It was expensive, but between the check and my savings, I can make it happen. I signed the papers within 48 hours, quietly. Not a soul in my family knew. Then I had my unit, my original one, listed as a high-end corporate rental. $5,000 a month, strict contract, no visitors, no subleases, no nonsense. Within a week, a pharmaceutical company leased it for one of their international executives. Just like that, the space they once claimed was no longer even mine to lend. It became something better, untouchable. But I wasn't finished. Not yet, because the final move wasn't about furniture or real estate. It was about the message. And I wanted it to be heard loud and clear without saying a single word. The next blow came quietly. I hired a design firm, one of those boutique interior groups that stage million-dollar homes for magazines. Velvet drapes, reclaimed wood accents, abstract art with just enough pretension to look expensive. They arrived midweek to redesign the apartment. Not for me, for the next tenant, but I asked them to leave one detail. On the entry table, next to a small white orchid, I left a note card. Welcome to your sanctuary. You are safe here. Then I took photos, wide angles, soft lighting, every room framed in warmth and elegance. I posted them on Instagram with one caption. She reclaimed her space and never looked back. No tags, no location, no names. But Mom follows me from a burner account at Blessed Nana 1956 as if I don't know it's her. It took 38 minutes before my phone lit up. Are you renting it like a hotel? After everything we did to make it special? Asterisk. Then Madison. Wow, you're profiting off the nursery we built. Classy. I didn't reply. I left them on read. Because silence had become my currency. And I was rich with it. The next day, I donated everything they'd left behind. Baby bouncer, unopened gifts, even the ridiculous balloon arch Madison paid $300 for, all went to a local women's shelter. I scanned the tax receipt and emailed it to my mother. Subject line, in your name. That's when the real unraveling began. First, the building management called. Miss Carter, we've received a complaint. There are people loitering on your floor. Disturbing residents, of course. Security footage showed it all. My mom, Madison, and her fiancé standing outside my old door, the one now leased to a corporate exec, yelling at the hallway, yelling at the door, yelling my name. I called security and filed a formal harassment report. Then I sent one final message to the family group chat. If you show up at my home again, any floor, any door, I will file for a restraining order. This is no longer a warning. No one replied. But Rachel, sweet, brave Rachel, called me that night. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. Aver, just a heads up, Mom's telling everyone the apartment was actually in her name. That you stole it, that you've been lying. I didn't even blink. Let her. I have receipts. I had the lease, the payment history, the deed to the unit downstairs, and now a registered LLC under my name for the rental unit. My identity, my property, my boundary now protected, legally, permanently. But still, I knew my mother. Silence from her wasn't surrender. It was strategy. And sure enough, a week later, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a typed letter on knockoff legal stationery. It demanded the immediate release of the Daniels family belongings, followed by a laughable inventory list of items I'd already donated weeks ago. They had tried to serve me fake eviction papers for a unit I owned. That's when I felt something unexpected swell in my chest. Not rage, not even grief. Pity. They were clinging to a ghost of control, of power, of the version of me who would have folded under the weight of guilt. But she didn't live here anymore. I forwarded the letter to my attorney. Then I poured myself a glass of wine, opened my balcony doors, and let the city breeze wash over me. No knocks, no phone calls, no yelling. Just wind and peace. The next Sunday, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to my mother's house, not to talk, not to argue. Just to leave something behind. I placed a box on her front porch. Inside, the guest book from Madison's baby shower, the one they all signed while laughing and drinking in my living room. I had the pages rebound in matte black leather, and on the inside cover, in gold ink, I wrote, "For every time you tried to erase me from my own life, here's a keepsake of the last day you ever succeeded." I never knocked, never rang the bell. I just left it there, like ashes. By the time I got back to my building, Marcus, the front desk manager, flagged me down with a look I'd come to recognize. A mix of amusement and disbelief. "Miss Carter," he said, leaning in like we were trading state secrets. "The woman you warned us about, she showed up again." Of course she did. He pulled up the camera footage. There she was, my mother, standing stiff in front of the elevator, dressed like she was attending church and a court hearing at the same time, clutched in her hands was the rebounded baby shower GUESTBOOK. She didn't ask to be let in. She just stood there, staring into the security camera, eyes glossy, jaw trembling, holding that book like it was on fire, but she couldn't put it down. She stayed that way for a long minute, and then she turned and walked out. No tantrum, no scene, no grand performance, just gone. And that's when I knew it was over. Not because we had a conversation, not because she apologized, not because she understood, but because she finally accepted what she couldn't undo. The locks had changed, and so had I. That night, I stood barefoot on my balcony, the lights of the city blinking below me like soft applause. I whispered to no one, to everyone, to the universe, "This is mine now." No more flinching when the elevator dinged. No more checking the peephole. No more holding my breath. I didn't post. I didn't vent. I didn't perform my healing for anyone. I just lived it. Weeks passed, quiet, golden weeks. I focused on my art again, dusted off my sketchbooks, hung my own work in the stairwell. I found my rhythm, coffee in the morning, long walks with Luna, brunch with people who didn't make me feel like I had to earn my worth. I started breathing differently. Then one afternoon, something unexpected arrived in my inbox. A message from a woman named Alicia. She was responding to the corporate listing for my rental unit. Young, recently separated, one child, job in tech, needed a short-term home, was willing to sign a 6-month lease with potential extension. I read her note 3 times. She wrote, "This would be the first place I've ever had in my name. Just mine. No mother-in-law. No boyfriend. Just me and my son. I don't want to beg. But this matters. I accepted within the hour. When she arrived, I met her at the door personally. She stood in the hallway, holding her son on her hip, eyes wide as she stepped inside, the space clean, warm. Full of light seemed to stun her. She put the toddler down and walked to the window ledge. I told her, I used to sit right there when I was younger, when things were chaotic. She ran her hand along the wood. I feel safe here, she whispered. I smiled. That's the point. And in that moment, something clicked. That apartment wasn't just mine anymore. It had become a refuge, a landing place for someone starting over, a quiet rebellion against everything my past had tried to define me by. A week later, I got one final message from Madison, a picture. She was standing on the front porch of our mother's house, beaming beside a moving truck. Caption, guess who's moving and come visit your niece sometime. She asks about you. And for a moment, just a moment, my heart clenched. Not because I miss them, but because some small, childlike part of me still wanted to be missed back. I sat with that feeling, let it exist. Then I looked around at my walls, my rules, my peace, and I realized something. Forgiveness isn't an invitation. It's a release. I could forgive her and never walk through that door again. I could love the memory of who we once were and still protect the woman I had fought so hard to become. So I typed, tell her Annie says hi, and that she's always in my heart. Then I blocked the number. Not out of hate, but out of healing. The morning after I blocked Madison, I woke up before the sun. No alarm, no noise, just the soft breath of silence. Unbothered, undemanding. I walked barefoot into the kitchen, the same kitchen where I had once cried into cold ramen after being told I was too dramatic, where I had held my cat and whispered apologies I didn't know, where I had sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes full of other people's lives, wondering if mine would ever feel real again. Now, there was sunlight spilling through the window, a kettle boiling, and nothing out of place. I poured a glass of cold orange juice. No champagne, no mimosas, just something simple and sharp and mine. I leaned against the counter, closed my eyes, and I listened. To nothing. Not a single voice telling me who to be. No footsteps threatening to cross a line. No need to flinch at a doorbell or silence a truth. Just me, my breath, the hum of healing. And in that quiet, I heard it, peace. Not the peace that comes from people finally understanding you, not the kind that's granted like permission or handed out as pity, but the kind you fight for, build from scraps, protect with teeth if you have to. And suddenly, all the things they said I was doing, being cruel, cold, distant, unforgiving, melted under the weight of the truth. They hadn't been defending family, they had been defending control. And now, they didn't have it, not over my home, not over my story, not over me. That spring, I hosted a small brunch for my new tenant and a few women from the neighborhood. Simple, lush. No pink banners or fake smiles. Just laughter, good food, real stories. At one point, Alicia stood and raised her glass. She said, to the woman who made space for me, who made me believe that safety wasn't just a dream. Everyone clinked glasses. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled and nodded. Afterwards, I walked her and her son to the door. Her boy reached up and held my hand for a second. Just a second. Thank you, she whispered. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. Not because I'd sacrificed, but because I protected what was mine. The very next weekend, I took Lunar and drove up the coast. No plan, no destination, just sky and ocean, and the knowledge that no one was waiting for me to come back and perform the version of myself they preferred. I booked a tiny cabin with a hammock and a bookshelf and a dog that kept wandering onto the porch. I slept for 12 hours the first night. The second night, I pulled up my sketchbook. I drew my new kitchen, the sunlight, the guest book in leather, the view from my balcony, and then I sketched a key. Not a specific one, just the idea of it, or key turning in a lock. And on the page beneath it, I wrote one sentence. She thought the locks would keep them out. But really, they kept her in. And now she's free.